Leslie Bibb plays Dinah Donahue on Palm Royale. I'm Matt Noble of Gold Derby. Wanted to kick things off by asking you, Leslie, what's something you learnt at the Palm Royale?
I think I learned how to listen a little bit better in scenes. Um, Acting is listening and responding in the moment. And when you are working with people like Allison Janney and Kristen Wiig and Laura Dern and Carol Burnett, you and Julia Duffy, she's so amazing. You really have to just queue up and say yes and really get into the yes and so I think by listening and I mean I was already aware of it, but I think it was also like watching a master class a lot of the time when I was in those scenes, getting to watch those women work so intimately. So I think my listening got a little bit better on just for me, and that I always think that's helpful.
Yeah.
It sounds so corny, like listening, it's like it's so easy to listen. And I was like, yeah, but when you get, your nerves in your head and you're thinking about what you want to do, and you just have to throw all of that out the window and then, saddle up to the bar or saddle up to a table and listen and respond in the moment with someone like Allison Janney, you'll be a better actor.
Yeah. Yeah, because I guess so much of acting is sort of serving your scene partner and making
That's
sure.
it.
Yeah.
That's
And,
it.
yeah. So can you think of a moment where listening helped build on a scene or helped improve?
I from two moments.
Yeah.
One was from the pilot when we were at the bar.
Mhm.
I have this pretty great scene, and it was a scene that was for me really the key that helped me unlock Dinah, which was I have this sort of monologue that Abe Sylvia wrote, and Dinah is saying to Maxine, which is Kristen Wiig's character, um, that love is not enough,
Mm.
that she can't afford love because this is how the world works. This is how her life, my life, is going to work. And I'm at ease with it. And I would love to have love. But at the end of the day, I want to have a roof over my head. And I want to have these things because I know that the company of love is not going to hold my hand till the end of time. And Kristen and I sort of do it. And then Kristen has this response. And she's like, I believe in love. And I say, love isn't enough. And she goes, yes, it is. No, it isn't.
No, it
Yes, it
isn't.
is. And there was just this back and forth. And I think that listening and really getting into her and being in that scene with Kristen and trusting her. And we were, I think, maybe shot that like the third or fourth day into the scene, when we were doing the pilot. And just knowing, I think I realized that Kristen would always have my back and she would always be there to support me and was always going to be a willing tennis player with me on the court.
Yeah.
And so
Literally as
something in,
well.
yeah, literally
You know,
and figuratively,
you had a
yes.
tennis scene in the first episode on a tennis court.
And then I think, um, then with that scene, there's a scene where anytime we were in Grayman's, and because there's so many things that happen in the show. There's like what you're dealing with, like, which each character is dealing. They all have their secrets. And then you go into a place like Grayman's and we're like Wade doing the fashion shows. And then you're having discoveries in the moment. And so if you don't have your listening queued up, I don't know what Allison's discoveries are, but she's going to say something that's going to inform me. And you can work on that till the cows come home alone in your house. But until you see how Allison or Kristen does that, if you're closed off to that, then the scene's just going to be a dud or it's going to be boring. You're going to lose all of the nuance and what lifts up. And I think in our show, I think those scenes when all the women are together really sing, because there's a lot of shit happening. Everybody's got a secret. Everybody's got something that they're covering or doing, and then they're making their own discoveries in the moment with each person. And so, it allows itself for a lot of subtext to come up.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you sort of say that every character's sort of got their secrets, and
Yeah.
like I think such a there's that in that pilot episode, there's a scene near the end, I think, where you and your character and Maxine are talking about finding something real. And your character, you go like, oh, real, like you sort of just say that word. How do you as an actor find sort of truth and something real in a character where they're in a world where
Where
so
it's
much about is not being real,
unreal.
it's about being fake?
Well, that's
Yeah.
the thing about Dinah, though, that everyone's like, oh, she's a real caddy. She's got this. And I find something heartbreaking about Dinah. I think I have such compassion for her. And I also think she's really fun. And I think she's really smart. And she's never been allowed to be that, because somebody has said, here's what you have. You have the way you look. You have the clothes on your back. And you better just keep marrying well, because you have nothing else. So I don't think she comes from a very affluent life. I just think she's gotten lucky, and she's smart, and she has no college education. She has nothing. There is no plan B. This is the only plan. And I think that she is real. I think she has a very real outlook of the time, of what's happening, of how the game is played. And then Maxine comes in and she's like, we're gonna do this, and it's gonna be puppy dogs and fairy tales. And she's like, that doesn't fucking exist. And just be who you're gonna be. Stop trying to. And I think it's for Dinah, Maxine thinks she's being so clever, and she's like, I'm better at this game than you are. And when I read the show, when I read the pilot, I immediately thought of All About Eve and this jockeying for women. I mean, there was sister stuff with the fact that all these women are together, and it felt like a sisterhood. It felt like somebody was vying for father's attention, or there's something like that. But it just, All About Eve really, really resonated with me. And that idea of I'm going to be the star. And so I remember I watched that movie a lot at that time. And I think that she is real. And I think because I believe Dinah is that, it's so easy to say real.
Yeah.
I'll tell you it's real. You take a left out of here, there's this, the Delacortes, and they host one party, and they do this. So the fucking gig is up.
Yeah.
It's just there. And I think there's something, she's so tired of it's like, we already have to play enough games in this world, and dealing with these men, and placating their energy, and that can we just be honest? She's already having, everything is a fucking chess game with these women.
Yeah.
So I think that they're all pretty exhausted.
Yeah.
They're pretty always hungover and exhausted, when they're together.
Yeah. How exhausting was it for you as an actor on the show?
It wasn't. It was, when you get a job like that, and not that any of my other jobs were not great, because I've been very fortunate, but there was something really special about this job. When you get to say great words, and you have great costumes, everybody's sort of operating. You have a great wig, you have great makeup, and there's great costumes, and there's great sets, and there's great actors, and they're great words, and you have a great DP, and the directors are doing a great job. When everybody's sort of operating on their highest level, it doesn't feel like work anymore. It's like a joy.
Mm.
Because as terrible as this sounds, I've like, you know, made chicken salad out of chicken shit for other jobs before. I mean, that's what our job is. You can't judge the character, and you can't judge it. Sometimes it is just an indie film, and maybe it'll become something better than it is, or maybe it won't. But you always have to keep betting. You always have to keep going. This might be the one. This might be the one. So on this job, there were so many things that were lined up in our favor. So it was really lovely to get to go to work. And, you know, I mean, honestly, I love what I get to do. So it never feels like that much work.
Yeah. What was the biggest challenge for you in playing Dinah?
I think the importance of her is that what's rumbling in her guts is this a furnace that's always being stoked, and it's always, to me, she always felt like she could just spring, like she was a jack in the box, and that any moment she could spring. And so to trust that inner life was there, and being tamped down, but was there, and then being covered, because it wasn't what was being presented. You know, they're always presenting a sort of mask to the world, and the mask is not what they're feeling on the inside. So that was, I think, the biggest challenge, just trying to make sure that all of the things underneath were simmering underneath, being covered by this mask of like, it's great, everything's great, and inside I want to murder somebody.
Yeah.
Or inside everything is falling apart, you know. I mean, it is this tenuous slope, and I'm dealing with, I mean, you know, I have a lover, I have a husband, I have an old fiance. I have a husband that all my money's about to be taken away. Like, there's like, she's a scrambler, but she's also sort of like Maggie the cat, you know, she's going to land on her feet come hell or high water. I do think Dinah's very resourceful. I think all these women are very resourceful.
Yeah. I imagine as an actor, you got to be very resourceful too.
Yeah, you do actually.
Drawing on a lot of things. Yeah. Like,
yeah, you do. You have to, I don't know. I think it's just like a bit like these women, like you just have to, like, you keep it moving. There's like, you can never, in this business, you never know what's going to be the thing that people like or not like. And yet you can't also make a decision that way. You can't be like, oh, this is going to be the job. This is going to be the job that's going to change everything. I don't know. I just keep saying yes. That's sort of my mantra. Just say yes, stay in the process, stay working. Every job you'll get better. Every job you'll work with people. And sometimes you don't know the lessons until it's in the rear view, why that job happened or why you had that experience.
Yeah. And I imagine when you're working with Kristen Wiig, you've got to not just say yes, but yes, and with all her input.
Yes. And then you say, hell yes, and.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's funny when you asked me that question about a scene about listening, when we had this great scene where we're in a golf cart together, and we're drunk and we're on pills, and there's always fun. Impediment work to me is very fun. And again, all these women are always on a low simmer of some buzz happening, but we could really kick the tires in that scene. And I just remember being with Kristen and just feeling like I felt drunk with her. It felt real. I mean, I think I almost peed my pants like 3 times that day because we were laughing so hard. I think I scared the crap out of her with my golf cart driving, but we were really in the pocket, I think, together as scene partners. And she's an incredible actress. She is an incredible friend now, and she's an incredible boss. So I love getting to be in scenes with Kristen Wiig. We just, I don't know. I think I feel like Bonnie and Clyde with her. Like, I'm like, what's going to happen? Like, I feel like we could rob a bank and get away with it.
Yeah.
Maxine and Dinah could do that. And so maybe Leslie and Kristen too. But yeah, it definitely feels very it feels very exciting to be in scenes with her. She's a very provocative actress
Yeah.
to be in the scene with.
Yeah. And Leslie, just to wrap up, what do you love most about acting, and how does Palm Royale sort of scratch that itch?
Well, what I like about acting is I like to be somebody that's not Leslie Bibb. So I get to live out all my fantasies of being other people who I think are way more interesting than Leslie Bibb. And I love being somebody else. I love like getting to play make believe every day. It's so fun. It's so fun to like pretend you're somebody else, to break your heart, to make people laugh, to just sort of break yourself down, put yourself together, and somehow, if you can catch it on film or digital or whatever, if you can catch it, there's something incredibly gratifying about that. Palm Royale, I don't know. Every day was a new experience, and they, Abe really, and Kristen and Laura and Jamie Lemons, who are wonderful producers, really trusted me with this person and trusted where I was starting to go with her. And as the show went, I think just kept letting me find her and not sort of handcuff me into maybe what their idea of it was. I think they sort of were like, oh, she's yours now, like go. So getting to work with those people was pretty exciting.
Yeah. Well, Leslie, all the best of luck with the Emmy Awards for Palm Royale. People can go
Thank
to
you.
goldderby.com to follow the Emmy races. And Leslie, just thank you so much for your time today. It's been so nice to chat.
Okay, thanks, Matt. I appreciate it.